Well, friends, we are back from a really beautiful trip that we just had for work in the south of France and also in Paris. If you live under a rock or if you're new here, I just did one of my 3-day immersion events in Paris. We had our New York one in May. 3 weeks later, did one in Paris. In hindsight, not a good idea, back to back, but we also have kind of like a bit of a weird timeline this year just because the wedding is kind of not in the middle of things, but it's there. And so I'm taking a lot of time off, pre-wedding and post-wedding. So we had a limited time to get everything fit in. Um, and actually, my fiance said to me after we finished my certification retreat, which was the week after Paris, like the weekend after, we were doing that in the south of France. He goes, "You are never allowed to be in charge of scheduling again. I know you scheduled all these events in your follicular phase thinking you could like take on the world." And then like I'm having a meltdown the Monday after each event because I usually will like crash and burn after each event. And I just have a little meltdown and then, oh, Jelly is joining. I don't know whether you could hear him run in, but he had like a little freak out that he was missing out on being a part of the episode. Anyway, so all my events are done for the year, which feels really bittersweet and weird, especially because they were my last immersions. But that's not what we're talking about today. What we are talking about today is travel and how I stay healthy when I'm traveling and just how I stay healthy in general. And what do I eat? Like Olivia's like, "Monica, you have to do an episode, please, on food," because one of the number one questions that she gets asked is, what exercise do I do? What food do I eat? Am I paleo? Am I this? Am I that? So we're going to talk about all of that today. Jelly's been sitting like this a little bit lately on me like this if you're watching the video. We're going to be talking about that today and really about creating safety in your body and kind of the energetic implications of our relationship with food and all of that stuff. Honestly, there is something for everyone in this episode. I will get Olivia to timestamp things in the description. So as I talk about different topics, if something isn't relevant to you, you can then just jump to the next topic because there is going to be like quite a bit that I speak about today. Okay, so let's start with the most basic question that I get asked, which is, what do I eat in a day? I fucking hate this question because one, I think that it does not, like, you should not be thinking, oh, if I eat what Monica eats, I'm then going to be like healthy. I'm then going to look the same as her. I'm going to then lose weight. I'm going to then be the same size as her, because that is definitely not true at all. And also it doesn't take into account a really important energetic component, which is your level of safety in your body. So my relationship with food used to be very tumultuous when I was finishing school. And then even kind of on the first year of my gap year, when I was just, finding myself and figuring shit out and binge drinking and like thinking I was being healthy by, eating like what I thought was healthy, but it actually wasn't healthy and that kind of thing. I'm very fortunate that I grew up in a family that really focused on real food and simplicity and home cooking. So I was not raised on takeout and shitty food by any means, but, I was obviously influenced by marketing and thinking that the skinnier that I was, the better that I was. And so that to me then meant starving myself during the school day and being so fucking hungry. But then I'd be so hungry and I would come home from school bloated because I was so hungry. And also my body was so stressed out from being so hungry. And then I would basically eat a giant tub of hummus and crackers and like so much food. And then I would go work out on the cross trainer for 2 hours to make myself feel better. And then I'd binge drink on the weekends. So my relationship with food was definitely not healthy. Even though what I was eating, people would classify as quote unquote healthy, it didn't matter because I did not have a sense of safety around food and just in my body. And so what's really interesting quickly on that note is that with clients that I worked with that have a past a past relationship with food of restrictive eating, when they then go for like 4 or 5 hours without food, it doesn't just mean they become hungry. It means their body goes into a full-blown stress response of, oh my God, I'm not going to get enough food. Like I'm going back into kind of that place. This is all unconscious. I'm going back into that place that I used to be. I'm going to be starving. I'm restricting myself. Hence you come home finally and you're starving and you raid the whole fridge and then you start kind of like that binge eating or that emotional eating because you're just so fucking hungry. Now I get it because I have that situation where I haven't eaten for 8 hours or whatever it is, and I'm so fucking hungry. But the difference is that because I have cultivated a sense of safety in my body, I am not necessarily super bloated. When you're really hungry and then you get really bloated. I'll get like that if I'm on a plane because of like the altitude, but I'll be really hungry and not necessarily bloated. I'll say like 9 times out of 10 when we're on the actual earth, not like, I guess we're still like on the earth when we're flying, but I'm saying like when my feet are on the ground, not including plane situations, 9 times out of 10, I can get really, really hungry and I'm not bloated. And I don't feel this sense of like, I am going to raid the fridge when I get home. Or I need to order like 5 main meals because I have to kind of binge eat it all. I can actually be really fucking hungry because I haven't been able to get food or whatever it is, and then eat a normal size meal slowly. And that used to be a rarity for me. And I know that's a rarity for a lot of people that have struggled with their relationship with food. As soon as they get food, it's like they just scoff it down and like they haven't even taken a breath of fresh air. And that's when then we start overeating and emotionally eating. And then we feel sick because we've overeaten, because we've just like eaten so much without thinking about it and slowing down. And the answer isn't, oh, just slow down whilst you're eating, because you and I both know that's literally fucking impossible when you're in that situation. So that's why I say, like, when it comes to healing a relationship with food, I'm like, you need to do Queen Alchemy. You don't need to go and like learn about food and like get told, oh, you have to slow down and meditate before you eat. Because when you're in that zone of get me fucking food and you're in that stress response, the idea of meditation, you are like, fuck you to that person that told me to meditate. Instead, you're like, I just need food. And you are literally in this primitive response. Hence, the more that you focus on cultivating safety in your body and actually feeling safe in your the more you focus on cultivating safety and actually feeling and your body actually feeling safe and your nervous system feeling safe, you can be in that state of like dire hunger, and you won't then like scoff down the whole entire fridge when you get home. And that to me has been like, not necessarily like, it's been obviously a game changer for me, but something to even recognize in my clients and also in myself is like, I'll often reflect on this of like, wow, I am like so hungry I could literally chew my arm off. And when I get food, I no longer go into that kind of like just habitual response of just shoving down so much food and then making myself feel sick. I can actually slow down. And the reason is because my body no longer feels like, if I don't, like, if I'm not getting this food for 8 hours, it means I'm going into a famine and I'm not going to feed myself, and I'm going to be eating fucking rabbit salads, and I'm going to be starving myself for the next X amount of months. My body and I, because I've actually healed my relationship with myself, and because I've actually created safety in myself, I just don't behave like that with food anymore. So I can go for a long period of time. Like sometimes I'll go 8 hours without food and I am so regulated. I am not stressed out. Like I can see it on my aura ring. I'm not stressed out. I am very, very regulated. And that is not a thing that a lot of people can resonate with when they're still struggling with that kind of push pull relationship of, not even necessarily purposely restrictively eating, but as soon as they're in a situation where there's a lack of food, their body goes into a stress response because of past situations. Whether it was self inflicted around not eating enough food, or whether it was because, you grew up in a family where there wasn't enough food, or you would want seconds and your mom had or your dad hadn't made enough for seconds, and so you were really hungry, or your brother and sister like took all the food and then you went without, because obviously as a child we can't just take ourselves to the supermarket and get more food, and as an adult we can. So anyway, that's a whole separate thing, but my point is with all of that is there will be days, lady. This is why I don't say this is what I eat in a day, because it changes every single day. And there are days where I don't eat lunch and I have breakfast, but I have breakfast at 10 a.m. and I have 3 eggs and a load of avocado, and that keeps me going. And maybe I'll have like a little bit of like I don't know, like even just today. Okay, I'm sitting recording a podcast. Like, what have I eaten today? I've eaten eggs in the morning. I had 2 eggs in the morning, but let me tell you, I'm in my follicular phase. I can eat less food in my follicular phase. I am not as hungry, and hormonally, like that is normal, not common. That is normal. Talk to me in my luteal phase. This bitch needs 3 eggs, 10 avocados a day. Like I need so much fucking food to get through. And so I prepare myself for that because I also know my body. And so I don't want to like, I don't want to be unprepared and then be like in dire need of food because I am so much hungrier in my luteal phase, which is normal. Cravings are not normal. Wanting extra food, like being really hungry is normal. Like eating a meal and 10 minutes later, like literally your stomach is growling. That is normal because progesterone increases your metabolism. So you're burning through more food. So my point is that what I'm eating right now is just not reasonable to tell you in a day because I'm in my follicular phase. So what I eat now is going to be completely different to what I'm going to be eating in 3 weeks time. And also, I'm able to stay in such a place of like regulation, safety, not in a stress response by not eating for 8 hours, and I'm completely fine. And then I'll eat a big dinner, and I'll eat dinner and I'm completely fine. And we do this all the time when we're traveling. Mrs. Me and my fiance, we will eat breakfast, we won't eat the whole entire day, and then we'll eat dinner. And when we're traveling, we'll sometimes go like 10 hours without food. And that is not something that I used to do. That would be putting me in a full-blown panic mode. Now, this I cannot do this in my luteal phase, telling you that right now. But I can do that, when I'm in the other phases of my cycle, because my metabolism isn't speeding up. But more importantly, the reason why I can do that and I can feel it, I literally can feel it in my body, is because energetically, I feel inherently safe. So I know that I am about to go and feed myself a meal. So I'm not like freaking out unconsciously that I'm not about to get a meal. Right. And this is very much like, I know people say like intuitively eat. Like, what the fuck does that mean? For me, it just means like I'm going to eat breakfast and I'm absolutely going to eat dinner. And throughout the day, when I'm focused or when I have a busy day, I don't stress myself out if I haven't had lunch. I don't stress myself out that I need to like sit down and carve out an hour of my day and like make lunch for myself. Honestly, maybe it's also a working from home thing. When I see people on Instagram, like, this is what I made for lunch today, and they've made like a whole fucking salad, I'm like, where did you find that time? And like, also, like, I personally, I don't want to do that. I do not want to cook 3 times a day. I don't want to make some fancy salad. Sometimes I will, but honestly, it's kind of rare these days. Most of the time, my lunch is like, I'm standing at the kitchen bench and I have opened up some leftovers from dinner last night and I'm eating it cold and I'm having a few mouthfuls and I'm like, great, this is enough to kind of get me through. And that's what I'm eating in a day, right? But then in my luteal phase, it's completely different. Like I said, it's 3 eggs, it's a whole avocado for breakfast. And then for lunch, it's like a shitload of leftovers because I'm starving. There's probably some like food in there in between as well. If you live in the US, like CIT chips are the bomb.com, and there's always CIT chips in our pantry, or I'm having a bowl of 7 Sundays cereal because it's just like great, easy, done, shoving it in, next. And then I'm actually taking time to make us a really great, very, very hearty dinner. And I have big dinners. And I know everyone's like, oh, like, not everyone. Some people are like, oh, dinner should be your lightest meal. Dinner is not my lightest meal. That to me also, just, I like to feel very grounded at the end of the day. And so for me, I'm always making grounded meals. I don't want to go to bed starving. If I go to bed starving, this bitch ain't sleeping. Like, I need to go to bed, not with a full stomach by any means, but I need to be full after I've had dinner. And then I'll wait a few hours, obviously, and then I go to bed. So anyway, that was a fully like long-winded story. But what I eat in a day, like, couldn't fucking tell you. It changes every day. Every day pretty much I'm eating eggs and avocado in the morning. And then I've told you, like, lunch is just like whatever. And then dinner, I mean, I'm mixing it up every night. I like to try different things. I like to cook a lot, but it's always lots of protein, lots of veggies, lots of fat. Like, we do not undereat in this household. We do not restrict. We are not hungry. Like, we fucking eat food. And before I go into my luteal phase, I will very often make more food. Like, I'll make blueberry muffins. I will make banana bread. I will, make bread. I always make sure that I am cooking extras when I'm making dinner, so I have leftovers the next day. Especially if we're going through like, or not even my luteal phase, but if we're also just really busy, I will do that as well, because I do not want to be hungry per se, but I can be hungry and not get stressed out. And that to me has been the biggest, like, wow, this is like a healed relationship with food and a really deep sense of safety in my body, that I can be starving hungry and feel safe and not be freaking out. And my brain isn't going like, oh my God, I need food, freaking out. Like, no, I actually can stay regulated, which should be the goal for everybody. Because again, it's just like, especially when you're traveling and when you're someone that wants to eat healthy, there are times when you can't get healthy food. And I'm that person where I'm like, I'm not going to eat unhealthy food for the sake of not being hungry. I would rather be hungry personally for a few hours and then go home and eat a bunch of food and everything's going to be fine. I can't remember specifically, but I feel like I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have been like, fine, fuck it, I'll eat something like slightly unhealthy, but I've always been very healthy, slightly unhealthy, because I was just in such a state of stress. I have a good reason for quickly interrupting this episode, and that is because I have so many freebies on my website. And if you haven't downloaded all of them, I don't really know what you're doing, because obviously you listen to my podcast, you probably follow me on Instagram, hopefully you follow me on Pinterest and YouTube as well. And if you're not already aware, the amount of free content that I pump out for you is somewhat insane. And everybody always comments on this, like, how the hell do you do it? I'm like, honestly, I don't really know. Anyway, point is that on the website, there is a huge collection of incredible meditations. And some of them are relaxing meditations, but some of them are these high vibe ones where you are like jamming out in the car, fully reprogramming your subconscious and fully shifting your somatic experience for the day, so your energy, and they're game changing. I love them. Additionally, there's also journal prompts. There is an incredible PDF journal prompt guide thing that is directed towards those of you that are really working on embodying your inner feminine CEO, right? So obviously I have my program, The Feminine CEO, but this is a free journal prompt guide where they are my journal prompts that I use pretty regularly, I will say, in the morning when I'm setting myself up for the day, when I am wanting to focus on calling in more success in my business for that day or for that week or for that year or whatever it is. These journal prompts are epic. So if you go to the link below in the episode, you will find the link to my like kind of online store where you will see all the things that you can download, all the freebies. We're actually updating some of them too, so you can always go back in a couple months and check to see if they've been updated and then re-download the updated version. But yeah, I'm like, why would you not have them all? Save them on your phone, save them on your laptop, have them there as an easy resource for you to refer to. So the Feminine CEO journal prompts are something that is new. They only came out a few months ago, so if you haven't already gotten them, then make sure that you do. And they are banging. And also, I just feel like the whole guide is a fucking vibe. Like, I've got the little printed guide on my desk, and I'm like, this is kind of sex. So yeah. All right, let's jump back into the episode. So on this note, I've done an episode on like your nervous system and how that affects weight loss and how it affects your body and like all that kind of stuff. So if you've seen any of my reels, you will have seen kind of my physical transformation, let's just say. So the size that I am at right now physically, I would say that I was at this size. But like, I mean, not even, I got very, very skinny, for those of you that don't know, after I lost my period, coming off the pill, very skinny, very, very, very like, unhealthy skinny. If you saw me on the street, you would have thought that I was anorexic, but I actually was eating so much food. I would eat more than my dad. I just wasn't digesting any of it. I had like massive gut issues. And basically I would eat and 10 minutes later, like the whole vegetable would essentially come out the other end, and it was not okay. Point is that taking that time out of it, my body as it is physically is, I would say, about the same, probably a little bit, I would say a little bit curvier, which I like, because we go through that second, if you don't know this, we go through a second puberty where our hips grow a little bit more when we're about 24 and as women, and we get some like extra curves. So you really can't compare yourself to like your 18-year-old body. Point is though, is that I did a post semi recently, and you'll kind of actually, we'll link it below. You'll kind of actually even see. So basically I posted like my ski accident. Then I posted a picture that was about a year after my ski accident. A year? Yeah. About a year after my ski accident. And then like now. And basically what I was showing is that, so if you look at the video, you'll see me like right after the ski accident. And I was like my healthy size. Okay. So you'll see that picture. And so it's like, okay, she wasn't this size before the ski accident. Then a year later, oh, she's very puffy. You can tell I've put on weight, and you can tell it's like like I'm doing like a puff sign. It's like I'm holding on. Like it's not just, it's kind of, if you look at it, you'll know what I mean. It's a different kind of weight, right? And it, not saying that like I was overweight or anything like that. And also like, let's not shame anyone's body shape, because what I'm trying to say to you guys is that your nervous system can get dysregulated from something outside of your control, which then can cause you to put on weight, even though you're eating the exact same way. So here's the thing. I am eating less healthy now, I would say, than I was even prior to my ski accident. Yet, and during the healing of my ski accident. Yet, I put on a lot of weight like a year after, 2 years after my ski accident. And it wasn't until I actually regulated my nervous system again and brought my body back to safety and like obviously then COVID happened, all that shit, that I then was able to lose the weight. And like back then when I was living in Australia pre-ski accident, there was no CIT chips. Like there was no 7 Sunday cereal. And I use those two as examples because they're not like really, really, really healthy. They're not unhealthy by any means. The ingredients is very clean. But like I will sit down and eat a whole bag of chips and I have no shame about it. And I will, have a whole bowl of cereal multiple times a week from the 7 Sundays. And I didn't have those things when I was living in Australia. In Australia, I was extremely, extremely clean because like they just don't have like as good healthy snacks, if you will. So anyway, my point is that I exercise less now and I eat a lot more kind of like freely and I eat a lot more carbs now and I'm a lot less restricted. I would say that back when I was living in Australia pre-ski accident, I was a lot more restricted still with what I was eating. And I was not allowing myself to eat as many carbs. Now I'm like, give me all the fucking sweet potato, give me all the chips, give me all the rice, give me all the things. And I have lost weight. Like you can see it. You can see it in my face. You can see it in my body. Granted, yes, I've aged. And obviously as we age, we also kind of, our faces slim out a little bit. But if you look beyond my face, you'll also be able to see it in the rest of my body. Anyway, and you can kind of, more importantly, if you were to look at the energy of both pictures, one, you can tell my body is like stressed and holding on. It's like scared. And what it was scared of was my leg. Like if you don't know about my ski accident, it was very, very traumatic. And so, and like that the reoccurring surgeries afterwards and the phantom pain and whatever, it was a really challenging time. And so why I'm telling you all of this is because it doesn't just matter about what you're eating. It doesn't matter just about like the diet and how clean the food is and all of that kind of thing. It matters about how your body is digesting it. It also matters, what is your body holding on to? Are you holding on to all of its energetic weight? So you could eat the exact same as how I eat, but if you still have a sense of unsafety in your body and dysregulation in your nervous system, then that food isn't going to necessarily do anything for you. It's not going to necessarily make you lose weight. And that's why I hate these YouTube videos or like podcasts of what I eat in a day, because it's making you as the listener think, oh, if I eat like this person, I'm going to then lose all of this weight. But if eating like that person also stresses you out because you don't have that inherent sense of safety, and also you just like don't fucking like how they eat, like you're like, this is not turning me on, then you ain't going to lose the weight. You're actually going to probably gain the weight because you're not even enjoying your relationship with food. And the thing we need to remember about food, especially for women, is that food is a source of pleasure. Are you getting pleasure from your food? A lot of people are not getting pleasure from their food, but you go to Italy, you go to France, you go to like just essentially Europe, Spain, anywhere around there. Oh my God, Greece, the fucking feta. If you go there, are you getting pleasure from your food? Yes, you are orgasming at the table because you are getting the foreplay and the pleasure from the food. But you sit at home and you aren't getting the same experience. That doesn't mean that you need to move to Greece, or maybe it does, or Italy, definitely Italy. That doesn't mean that you have to do that. It means that you need to bring more pleasure into your relationship with food. And that the answer is not eating donuts and cake. That is not pleasure. That is not you feeling pleasure in your body. Because if you've actually connected to your body doesn't want that. Because that is so fucking hard for it to digest, and it is so dysregulating to your blood sugar and your digestive system and everything else. Your body doesn't want that. Your brain wants it because it wants the fucking quick hit of serotonin. But if you were to tune into your body, it would be like grounding, warming, delicious, nourishing, hearty, full of nutrients kind of food. Right? If I'm listening to my body, it will crave things like lamb and like stir fries and curries and like big bowls of vegetables. And it's more of like the energy of the food, like grounding, fresh, hydrating, that kind of thing. That's you listening to your body. Your body isn't fucking craving pizza. Your body's craving something comforting and it's craving a quick hit of serotonin, maybe. Your brain is, sorry. And so that's why you're thinking, oh, the answer is for me to then give my body pizza. So anyway, that hopefully is a very, very long-winded answer to the what I eat in a day, but everything I mentioned in there, I wanted to bring into this episode anyway, because it's really, really important. So that's the what I eat in a day and the things that you guys need to remember. I will say on that note is if you are struggling with letting go of energetic weight, if you do feel like you have really been trying to lose weight naturally, or you've noticed that after a specific event in your life, maybe you don't even know what the event was, but you've just kind of noticed that from a certain period onwards, you've started to just hold on to weight and kind of get, especially like puffy. It's more of this like puffy weight. Then that can be a sign, like that's a pretty clear sign that you're holding on to something energetic. And I've just opened up, or I'm about to open up in like a week's time, my gut and skin healing classes. You can buy them both together, or you can just buy the gut or just buy the skin. And these healing classes I made for you because I wanted to bring you something that was focusing on the energetic components of gut issues. So like bloating, chronic IBS, digestive issues, and then skin issues like, rashes, acne, eczema, etc., where you've tried all the things, but it's not going away. Now, if you've tried all the things to lose the weight and it's not going away, you would want to be focusing on doing both classes, the gut and the skin. Because the skin class, what could be really coming up for you in the skin class is more around like the being seen and the hiding, which could then also be correlating to the weight. And then the gut is really about also the safety piece. So you'd want to be doing the bundle of both of them together. Okay. Obviously, if you can, or if you're in Queen Alchemy, then that's going to be the bee's knees. But if you didn't join this round of Queen Alchemy, or you're not in a position to join the next round of Queen Alchemy even, this is a really, really, really great starting point. Obviously, Queen Alchemy is like the queen of the programs, because we're really healing these things from every fucking angle in so many different specific ways. But there's no specific healing class in Queen Alchemy for gut issues or skin issues. So even if you've done Queen Alchemy and you want a class that you can just keep coming back to for healing around gut stuff or skin stuff, then I would still be joining these classes. They're a great added resource to Queen Alchemy. There's definitely like not overlapping. And what I like about it is that every time you do the class, something else can be coming up because of the way that I've structured the class, and how, if you don't know how I work, it's very much I'm guiding you, but your body's actually healing itself. Like you are healing yourself. So every time you do the class again, something different can be coming up, and it doesn't mean like you won't find the class redundant. Essentially, it's not do it once and never do it again. You actually can do it many times over and over again. Okay, so that is the what I eat in a day. So the next thing is, which kind of blends onto this and the fact that we were just traveling, is my healthy travel tips. And this also goes for travel tips, eating out, being healthy when you're socializing, all of that kind of stuff. Number one, I love going to Europe. And I prefer for us to go to Europe because it is a lot easier for me to eat in Europe because I'm very healthy. And actually, it's now a lot easier for my fiance to also eat in Europe because now, wasn't always, but now I need an episode about that. He's very healthy. So we like to go to Europe because it's just easy. Also, the flights in the US are already so expensive and accommodation is already so expensive. If you're clued in, you would actually know that flying to Europe isn't even that much more and you get way more bang for your buck. So that's like just a side note. If you live in Australia, like you guys are great. The food quality there is also amazing too. Okay, so healthy travel tips. So, and kind of like eating out. When you're in Italy, Spain, Greece, etc., it is easier to obviously have food that's cooked in olive oil. If you go to Italy and Greece, like they're only cooking in olive oil because I don't think a chef would be a chef there if they were cooking in canola oil or vegetable oil. So that already kind of makes it easier. When I'm in the US, I really try to focus on going to Mediterranean restaurants, so Greek, Italian, etc. And obviously, the nicer the restaurant, the better quality the food is also generally going to be. So you can then ask for it to be cooked in olive oil, or it will already be cooked in olive oil. What I will say though is that I am not anal about these things to the point of I can't socialize, because that isn't going to make me happy and that isn't going to make my body feel safe. So if you're sitting in a restaurant so fucking stressed out about what's in the food and the little bit of dairy that you're going to eat in the US and the little bit of vegetable oil that could possibly be in it, you are going to get bloated. You are going to feel gross. You're probably going to have your skin break out the next day because of not the food, because of the feeling of unsafety and dysregulation in your body. I am blown away sometimes by how I can placebo myself out of like unhealthy things. Like I'll know something's cooked in vegetable oil. I'll know there's dairy in something. And I will really regulate my body and keep that feeling of safety in my body. And I don't get bloated and I don't have a skin reaction. And obviously there is like other things that I'm doing too, supplements wise, etc., which I give you guys in terms of like little supplements that you can be doing for traveling and everything in the gut class too. But more importantly, the healthy travel tips is for me is really about consistency. So I have the same morning routine when I'm traveling as when I'm home. My morning routine, it changes every single day. So again, I'm not going to say my morning routine is the best because my morning routine is what works for me. You have to find what works for you, not just copy me thinking that my way is going to suit you, because that's then like outsourcing your power. Tune into what feels good for you. But one of my non-negotiables is green tea. And so every morning when I wake up, I actually pack my own green tea as well because it really helps with the consistency and also the consistency of my poos. Literally, because it's the exact same green tea, like my body knows that taste. And I have noticed that even just having a different kind of green tea in the morning, because my body is so used to this routine, that if I have a different kind of green tea, even that can like throw me off a little bit. So the same morning routine has been a massive game changer for me in terms of keeping my bowel movements regular when we're traveling. And I know that is people's number one source of like stress when they're traveling is they haven't shit for 3 days. And nobody wants that when you're also frolicking around in Europe in a bikini and you're bloated now because you haven't shit for 3 days. So that's really important, number one. And, you know, in terms of even just the making sure that you're going to the bathroom regularly, again, stress inhibits that. Stress can make you constipated. So if you are stressed, if you are feeling insecure, if you're feeling afraid of being judged, if you are, you know, having stress from travel because you don't know how to regulate yourself, even when there's that travel stress that we all fucking deal with, that is all going to influence you then not going to the bathroom for 5 days once you arrive at your destination. I can shit on planes. I'm not joking. Like sorry, but I can. I will have trouble pooing if I'm stressed. But because I know how to keep my body in a state of safety, I keep my bowel movements very, very regular. The only times they won't be regular is when I have to get up at like 5 a.m. for a flight and like you're obviously like kind of rushing in the morning. There's no way this bitch is pooing. This is not happening. But when I'm traveling, I am like, yep, we're good. We're regular, like no problemo. And I literally attest it to the energetic component of what's in my body and the energetic safety. And, you know, not letting myself get dysregulated, healing my fears around being seen, healing my fears around judgment, healing even the stress that we can cause ourselves when we think, oh my God, I'm not getting enough sleep. Oh my God, I'm on a different sleep routine. Like, oh my God, like we can cause ourselves stress because we put all of this extra pressure on ourselves. So I take all that pressure off. That reduces obviously any skin issues, any gut issues, and those sorts of things. Now, there are the non-energetic components to skin issues that can come up, especially when you're traveling and when you're eating food that like your body doesn't love, and then also when and also gut issues, of course. So making sure that you have your little things that really help keep your skin at bay and your gut at bay. It's literally thinking like, how can I bring my home? If everything is happy when you're at home, how can I bring my home into my suitcase? Like, what little things can I be doing? Because that's what I've done. I've figured out these little things that have helped me when I'm traveling to keep everything hunky dory. I might look like a high maintenance bitch, but I'm glowing. So, you know, pick and choose your battles. And actually, what I've organized for you guys for this launch of the gut and skin classes is if you buy both of them together, which I do recommend doing because obviously your gut is correlated to your skin. And if you are having, so like if you're having skin issues, you also need to be working on the gut. And then if you are wanting to work on your gut, more so for the energetic weight components as well, like I said before, you also want to get the skin. So if you get both of them in the bundle, I'm also putting together a fun video of everything that I bring with me travel, like very specific travel things of how I keep my gut healthy and how I keep my skin healthy. And then also the added things that I've been doing and really honing in on for the wedding. And obviously you don't have to be using that if you're not getting married, but you could be using what I'm, sharing with you guys for just a big event that's coming up or because you want nicer skin, like that kind of thing. And I'm not doing any fancy facials, by the way, either. Like literally nothing. Everything is DIY at home. Okay, what other healthy travel tips do I have for you guys? Oh yeah. So when I'm in Italy, I eat so much gelato, and same with France, and like just in Europe, I eat so much gelato, I eat so much cheese. Like I am not limiting myself to any of those things. But of course, if I'm stressed, which, I don't really get stressed in Europe, but I was a little bit stressed on this Paris and south of France trip because it was for work. I am then going to not eat those sorts of foods, just for that day or just for those couple of hours until I'm relaxed again, because it's not just about, oh, my body doesn't like dairy, because actually my body can process dairy when I'm in Europe. It is about the quality of the dairy as well. It's also about how I'm feeling when I'm eating the food. And that's why for a lot of people, they find they can digest food better on holidays than at home because they're less stressed. So again, let's reverse it for what I said before. How can you bring your holidays home? Because if you want to be able to eat in a more relaxed way, if you want to feel less bloated when you're at home during the work week, that is so possible for you. And then it tells me, especially if you're, if you're eating really clean at home, but you're still bloated, it tells me that a component of it can absolutely be stress. And remember that stress is not just about the conscious stress, it's also about the unconscious stress, the things that you are not aware that you are stressed about. So don't just think, oh, well, I'm meditating every day. And so how can I be stressed, about work? That's not what it's about. Okay. Okay. So, kind of on this note, again, another one of the questions that Olivia wrote down for me that's a very common question is how do I get my skin so glowy? You know what's funny is that sometimes my fiance will go, babe, your skin looks wet. And he doesn't understand like the glow. And I'm like, babe, it's called the glow. And he's like, it looks wet. And I'm like, oh my God, like I cannot with you. So how do I get my skin glowy? Well, there's nothing like specific that I do. I don't do any like treatments or anything like that. What's actually funny is my skin glows more, I think, in winter than it does in summer. My skin loves the cold, doesn't as much love the heat. But I will say, on this past trip to Europe, I was actually very impressed. Like this was literally I was putting the gut and skin healing classes to the test on this trip. I will say that. I really was. I was like, will my stomach be happy and will my skin be happy on this trip? Because I'm not just frolicking around in Europe. I am stressed. I am working. I have 2 events back to back. I'm on minimal sleep. I am giving every day. I'm juggling work and all these things. I'm planning a wedding. I was a bit worried, especially because I knew we were shooting a bunch of content at the end of the trip as well. I was like, is my skin going to have a fucking freak out because I don't want it to? And I was a bit worried that I wasn't going to feel good in my tummy and I was going to be really bloated and that kind of thing. Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. My skin stayed fucking great. And I had a little bit of like, so for me, one of the things that I get, but then I took my supplements that I give you guys in the gut and skin, and it was fine. One of the things that I will get if I do um if I have not enough sleep and if I do eat a lot of dairy and I'm like stressed and whatever, is I'm very, very prone to candida, very prone to candida. So hence I do not take probiotics. I do modbiotics and all those things I've also given you at the very end of the gut masterclass too. Remember, the masterclass isn't like, it's not physical things. It's predominantly energetic, but I do like, talk about it a little bit at the end because so many of us are just like infiltrated with this marketing messaging on Instagram stories of like probiotics, seed. Like that's the brand or whatever, like Ritual, like the fucking shittest prenatal out there. Sorry if anyone takes Ritual or if anyone did take Ritual, your baby's probably very happy and healthy. It's totally fine. But if you want like a good prenatal, that ain't it. But I am giving you guys a conception episode in a little bit too. Point is like really just do like be careful when you just see influencers posting this shit. I'm not saying the supplements are actually bad by any means, but it doesn't mean that they are right for you. Right. That is the key thing. And like when you're taking a prenatal, for example, it's like, have you done any blood work? Do you actually know what your different levels are at? I was talking to a client the other day and she was like, Monica, can you check this prenatal that I'm taking? And I was like, sure. Looked it up and I was like, holy shit. The B12 levels, look, you need a lot of B12, of course, when you are like preparing for pregnancy. But I'm like, have you gotten your bloods done? Because if I got like I had my bloods done very recently and I have plenty of B12. If I took that supplement, like so glad all I'm going to say is so glad that I didn't because it was 33,000% over the recommended daily intake. Now, the recommended daily intake is also like a bit of bullshit. But my point is that you need to actually make sure that you are taking supplements that are right for your symptoms and also right for your bloods as well, like when it comes to more specific supplements, and not just because a pretty Instagram influencer has given you a discount code. Whatever, that's a total side note. So anyway, my thing, if I don't get enough sleep and if I eat a shitload of dairy, so I eat like a bunch of ice cream, and heaps of cheese in Paris, is I'll get like a tiny little like bumpy rash, on mostly the right side of my chin. And so I do my things and it goes away and no big deal. And you can see it on the gut and skin new, pictures that I'm putting up on the website soon. Is like you can zoom right in to the point where you can see my pores and it's like, okay, the skin is clear, right? And and I have human skin. I don't have Barbie skin. I don't have a filter, and I purposely don't put like a shitload of green over the gut and skin pictures like I do for other pictures that are more like that vibe for the program, because I really want you guys to see, like, I genuinely have gotten my skin to be this clear, and it hasn't always been this clear. Like, that is the most important thing, and it's not always been this clear. But what I will say is that a lot of people fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I have to take probiotics. And maybe that's great for you. But if you're like me, and actually a lot of people are, and they don't realize this, and if you're very prone to bacterial overgrowth and to like candida, then you don't want to be taking probiotics, because that's going to fucking feed the candida. You want to be taking modbiotics, which flushes out the bad bugs and it feeds the good bugs. It's like we forget sometimes that our gut knows what it's doing, that if we give our body the environment to thrive, it will thrive. So even when it comes to, you having glowy skin and you having a happy tummy, it's the same thing. If you give your body not just the food, not just the supplements. If you give your body the environment to thrive, it will thrive. If you put yourself in a room full of incredible people, your business will thrive because your energy is thriving. Remember that we are the sum of what we put in our body and what is around our body and what we like receive into our body energetically as well. So on this trip, I was very much like, wow, okay, this works, because I was staying very regulated, minus like my 2 meltdowns, which lasted for like 15 seconds. And actually my assistant, she saw one of them in Paris. I had like a full blown melt. Actually, it wasn't even a full blown. It was like a mini meltdown, because I can have really big ones. Um, and she literally said to my fiance, wow, like that was actually amazing. She was like trying not watch, but she was also watching, which I get. And she was like, that was really cool to see, because literally, like, basically what happened is we missed our train, and I was crying because I wanted to get the south of France, and I was so tired, and I wanted to get to the house, and like I didn't want to wait around, and then we're going to arrive late and blah blah blah. And this was the day after the Paris immersion had finished. And basically she just said, like, it was so amazing to watch, because the way that he handled me was not, you have to change, stop crying, blah blah blah. He literally did exactly what I wanted him to do, because I use this thing called communication. And I don't communicate in the moment. I've communicated every time prior, which that then means we learn, we grow. And so now when I'm having a meltdown, he knows exactly what to do. And my meltdown was over like that. And I was able to regulate myself. I was able to, most importantly, this is the most important thing, listening to your body. Like, do you even know what your body needs right now? Do you even know what your gut needs in order to feel safe? Do you even know what your body needs in order to feel safe and being seen? Because often a skin thing, no longer feeling like we have to hide. Do you know what your body needs to feel safe to be beautiful? Because that can be another really big thing. Women don't feel safe being beautiful. So they, cause these skin issues to make themselves quote unquote ugly, so that they can then hide, because if they were to be beautiful, they'd be put in dangerous situations. So the safety piece is so important, but so many of us are so disconnected from our body that in day-to-day moments, in little moments, we don't even know what would make us feel safe. And then as a result of that, we have these skin issues, we have these gut issues. We're thinking, oh, the answer is supplements. The answer is a stricter diet. And the thing is yes, you need to be taking supplements. You need to have a healthy diet, because all of those things also contribute to a happy gut, to a healthy body, to glowy skin. Yes. But I know there are a lot of you, because you come to me, and this is actually, I only made this program, or these 2 healing classes, last year, because there was so many of you coming to me that were like, I'm not in a position yet to invest in Queen Alchemy, but I so desperately need help, Monica, with my IBS, with my bloating, with my Crohn's, with my acne, with my breakouts, with my rashes, with my eczema. Like, I so desperately need help. And I know from your content that it's energetic, because I'm trying all the physical things. If you are one of those people, if you are in that boat, this is why I made this for you, so that you could start healing these things, and so that you can start actually listening. Like, it's actually amazing when we get into the class, and when you actually discover what it is and then heal that, it's like, wow, you discovered what that was. You allowed your body to finally bring the answer up. You listened to your body finally. And then I walk you through the healing process of it as well. And then you can continue to do that over and over and over and over again. And then, in a year's time, if you start to notice a breakout and you're like, this is weird, why am I getting a breakout all of a sudden? I haven't had one for a year. Amazing. You open up the skin class again, boom, you do that. Oh my God, it was because of this thing. You heal that. And it's just this beautiful, snowball effect of continuing to allow your body to feel safe in actually feeling good. Feeling safe in feeling good. Safety is honestly the crux of a lot of things. So, the last thing that I'm going to answer for you guys on this note, well, I'm going to give you two little things. Number one is I know it's also very trendy on social media right now to talk about balancing your hormones. That is very, very important to actually know your hormones, to know your bloods, where they're at. And also, more importantly, to know the things that influence you the most. What influences your hormones the most? So for me, I am very, very stress prone. My body will visibly show the signs of stress like pretty quickly. And exhaustion. And so for me, I know that's a really important thing for my hormones, for my health, just for like my looks, is making sure that I am reducing my stress and not just reducing my stress, but expanding my capacity to deal with stress without it actually feeling stressful. Like becoming your own adaptogenic mushroom is what I talk about. And I talked about this in my recent masterclass that I did called oh my God, the blueprint to feminine embodiment. If you just DM me on Instagram, Queen24, like the digits, or we'll put the link below, you can get it. I talk about it in there with nervous system bullshit on social media around how people like, oh, you can heal your nervous system in 7 days, or like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, you potentially could heal your nervous system in 7 days. I'm not saying that's not the case. But anyway, there's just so much conversation around like nervous system that's just not facilitated in a way where you can be in a state of like be in a stressful situation and regulate yourself. A lot of the courses, a lot of the teaching basically, and I've had clients, mirror this back to me. And so hence they find my nervous system stuff so beneficial because it's like, I can't just step away from the situation and go meditate. I can't step away from the situation and go put my feet in the grass and ground or start humming and do some like vagal nerve toning. Like that isn't actually sustainable. And so the answer isn't always, or it's not sustainable always to be like, reduce stress, cut toxic people out of your life. Like that isn't actually doable for a lot of us or just reasonable. Like it's not reasonable. And so my take on it is, yeah, reduce your stress as much as possible and mainly your unconscious stress, because that's often the thing that's actually tipping you over the edge is not the conscious stress, is the unconscious stress. So not just that, it's also about expanding your nervous system to hold more stress without you dipping into a stress response. So that is the whole like becoming your own adaptogenic mushroom. And so also having that up your sleeve is going to help you to continue to feel safe and continue to keep your hormones balanced because your body isn't going into that stress response. And then the last kind of thing that I have on my list that I've been asked in the DMs a lot is what pharmaceuticals, home remedies, etc. do I use when I need them? Like when I need a painkiller, do I take an Advil or a Panadol in Australia, or like an anti-inflammatory for whether it's a headache? Do I have when I have a stomach ache, whatever it is? Do I actually then use the pharmaceutical or do I use something else? Now, if I have a raging headache and I actually needs to get work done, for example, or something, I'm going to take an Advil 100% because I really understand the impact of stress on our body. So, and this is something that I actually learned the hard way with my ski accident. So when I had my ski accident, for those of you that don't know, is like, if you haven't listened to that podcast episode, when I had my ski accident, I wasn't fully aware of like how stress impacted our body. And I thought I can just power through this. So I wasn't taking it was narcotics. I wasn't taking the heavy, heavy painkillers. I had raging nerve damage and insane pain from it, along with like the fact that I had a 7-hour surgery and my leg had been cut open and they had to cut my muscle off my bone. And there was just a lot of healing that happened. And I was in a wheelchair. There was a lot of discomfort, right? And so I wasn't taking the painkillers. And what that meant was I then developed phantom pain. And I basically like did this to myself, unfortunately, and I'm still working through it, is I have stored so much stress and pain and fear in this knee because I was so fucking stressed after this surgery and after the subsequent surgeries because I thought that if I took the painkiller, it was going to like completely fuck up my liver and it was going to do more harm than good. Now, if I could go back, I'd be saying if I did that all over again, I would be taking the painkillers because it would actually have kept my body in less of a stress response. And I probably wouldn't still be dealing with the problems that I get now with my knee and the sensitivities that I have with it. Because I know like when somebody starts to massage my knee or around my scar, like I can just burst into tears. And that is something that I am still working through because like that physical trauma, especially from an accident, when there has been like, the cutting open of a muscle and there's a massive scar, and the scar was cut through three other times, my other surgeries, whatever, it doesn't happen overnight. And hence why I say, when you see this shit on Instagram of like, heal your nervous system in 7 days or whatever it is, I'm like, that is like so context dependent. Like so context dependent. I didn't need to heal my nervous system from my ski accident until a year later. That's when all the problems started showing up. It wasn't even straight after my ski accident. Like, I was so fucking out of it. And anyway, my point is that I am not someone that will just reach for a painkiller if I don't need it. It's when my headache will get to the point of like pounding, like migraine. And that doesn't happen very often. Mainly it will happen when I'm flying a lot. When like you're on a plane and you just get a raging headache. I think it's from like the petrol or something. I don't know. But that's when I will take, when I actually took one the other day, is when I'm like at that kind of point where I'm in physical pain and I can't just like go lie down. Or, when your headache is so bad that even if you go lie down, it's like you can't fall asleep because you're in so much pain. I'm then going to take a painkiller because the painkiller will allow me to fall asleep so I can then rest and my body can heal, which will then allow me to get rid of the headache. Right. So you have to kind of weigh up those pros and cons, but also weigh up the fact that keeping your body in a stress response because of pain isn't actually helping you at all. So, just keep that in mind. But then when it comes to a stomach ache, for example, stomach aches, I won't take something for them, because stomach aches, it's like, well, unless I've eaten something bad, that's different. If I've eaten, if I found out, oh my God, I've eaten some gluten, for example, and I'm celiac, I will then take a digestive enzyme, like a specific gluten one. But when I have a really bad stomach ache or when I am really bloated, I actually come back to the safety. I come back to the nervous system regulation. I actually bring my body back into a state of relaxation. I might do some stomach massage because that reduces my stomach ache, because the stomach ache isn't because I've eaten something bad. The stomach ache is because I haven't been able to digest whatever it was, whatever I've eaten, because I'm in a stress response. Or the stomach ache is not even related to food at all. I've got a stomach ache because I'm stressed, because I'm anxious, because I'm worried, because I'm, putting pressure on myself or whatever it is. So this is where, oh my God, this was meant to be like a 30-minute episode, you guys. This is where it's really important for yourself to have that connection to your body, because you can really tell in somebody's glow when someone is connected to their body or disconnected. I was actually just finishing up before I got on this episode, the before and after pictures for the immersions. And I was like writing out like people's, like I basically put the before picture and the after picture next to each other. And then I write out a bit of a blurb. And so many of them, they're smiling in both, they look great in both, but you can actually see the glow in somebody when they are connected to their body versus disconnected. It's like you can actually see in the picture, like they're there, but when you look deeply in their eyes, you're like, are you there? Like, is your soul there? Like, are you connected to yourself? Do you feel yourself? Versus in the after picture, it's like you feel them. Like they feel just connected to themselves, to their soul, to their heart, to what they want in their life. And so that glow from within also just comes from you being connected to your body, and being connected to your body then helps with the stress response. And then it also helps with the gut and the bloating and the skin and the inflammation and all of those other things as well. Okay, this was a long episode. Not my intention. I have to get to a meeting, but I hope it was juicy for you guys. I really appreciate those of you that have left a review on the podcast. If you haven't yet, please, please, please do so. We put so much into every single episode. Like a lot, you probably don't know how many hours goes into every episode, but it's a lot of hours that go into every episode. So I'm really grateful to all of you that have left a review. If you haven't left one, when you leave one, because I would appreciate if you do so right now, it will take you 30 seconds. When you leave one, just take a screenshot, send it to media@monicayateshealth.com. And then we will send you a little thank you in return that you can't buy or find anywhere else on the website. And if you don't have an Apple account, just get your friend's Apple account and then do it on their Apple account so I can give you the little thing. Okay? All right. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to join the gut and or skin healing classes.